call the public hearing of Thursday, February 26, 2026 to order. This meeting is being held in person and by electronic means. Council members and the public may participate by either method. Any members joining electronically are reminded to enable their video to confirm quorum. The meeting is being live streamed on the city's website and YouTube, and meeting progress will be updated regularly on X at Van City Clerk. In case of an emergency requiring evacuation, there's 2 exits located beyond the glass doors and to the left. If the glass doors are blocked, please use one of the 4 additional exits within the chamber. Do not use the elevator, use the stairs instead. If you need mobility assistance, remain where you are and security staff will guide you to a safe location. The defibrillator is available at the end of the hallway outside of chambers. We acknowledge that we are gathered here on the unceded lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We thank them for having cared for this land and look forward to working with them in partnership as we continue to build this great city together. I'd also like to recognize the immense contributions of the City of Vancouver staff who work hard every day to help make our city an incredible place to live, work, and play. Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Sim has a leave of absence for civic business from 6 p.m. onwards. Councillor Kirby-Young has a leave of absence for civic business from 6 p.m. onwards. Acting Mayor Dominato is in the chair. Councillor Bly has a leave of absence for personal reasons from 3 p.m. onwards. Councillor Fry has a leave of absence for civic business from 6 p.m. onwards. Councillor Montague.
Present.
Councillor Klassen. Councillor Meisner.
Present.
Councillor Joe. Councillor Orr. Councillor Maloney. You have quorum, Acting Mayor Dominato.
Thank you very much, clerks. Before we begin, a few reminders that the public may speak in person or by phone, or may submit written comments to Mayor and Council. Speakers may only speak once and will have up to 5 minutes to comment on the merits of the application. Please state whether you support or oppose the application and if you are a Vancouver resident. Those representing 4 or more individuals or groups, including themselves, may speak up for up to 8 minutes. Each person being represented must confirm their name and presence in person or by phone and may not speak separately. Please follow the live stream or at Van City Clerk on X to track meeting progress and know when your turn to speak is approaching. Please note the live stream does have a slight delay. Written comments can be submitted through the Mayor and Council public hearing feedback form linked on X. If you pre-registered with a presentation, say next to have the clerk advance your slides. A reminder, at public hearings, Council acts as a quasi-judicial body and must focus solely on the merits of the rezoning or the heritage application. Members may ask clarifying questions of staff or speakers, including the applicant, but should reserve debate until after the speakers list has been closed. After hearing from speakers, Council may approve the application in principle with amendments, refuse the application, or refer the application to staff for further consideration. Please note that a new public speaker podium has been installed on the left side of the public gallery to my right. At the moment, podium heights cannot be adjusted by the clerk, staff, and public speakers. Please adjust the podium as needed using the controls on the right-hand side of the podium. Oh, okay, thank you. And so with that, we'll move into our first agenda item, which is CD1 rezoning 441 East Pender Street. Before we begin, does anyone have a conflict of interest to declare? Hearing none, the clerk will now read the application and summary of correspondence received to date.
This is an application by Pack Buildings to rezone 441 East Pender Street from Residential District to CD1 Comprehensive Development District to permit the development of a 6-story residential building containing 55 social housing units. A floor space ratio of 3.1 and a height of 23 meters are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set on the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since we referred to public hearing: 81 pieces in support, 138 pieces in opposition, and this represents all correspondence received to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you very much, clerks. So this will be our first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445 #. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability here to present the application. Welcome and go ahead.
Thank you.
Good evening, Acting Mayor, members of Council, and members of the public. My name is Casey Peters, Assistant Director for the Rezoning Centre, presenting this rezoning application for 441 East Pender Street. The site shown in red is a vacant site located on the north side of Pender Street between Dunlevy and Jackson Avenue in the Strathcona neighborhood. Surrounding context is primarily residential and institutional. There's a mix of residential tenures in the area, including detached homes, co-ops, and social housing developments. The Lord Strathcona Elementary School and Strathcona Community Centre are a block southeast of the subject site. This rezoning application is being considered under the Downtown East Side Plan and is located in the Strathcona neighborhood, and the site is shown in red. The application is also being considered under the Downtown East Side rezoning policy and is within Area D, Strathcona. Rezoning applications can be considered in this area on sites where there is existing social housing and the amount of social housing is being increased, or on sites fronting Gore Avenue where all of the residential use is for social housing or secured market rental housing. The rezoning policy does not contemplate a rezoning on this site, as there is no existing social housing. However, the proposal results in an increase in overall social housing units with no tenant displacement. The rezoning application was originally submitted for a 6-story building with 65 micro-dwelling social housing units. Staff undertook online Q&A engagement period in the spring of 2025, and in October 2025, Council directed staff to undertake additional in-person consultation in both English and Chinese. This additional in-person engagement was held November 24th, 2025. The in-person engagement session, all of the information boards and comment forms were available in both languages, and 8 verbal interpreters for Mandarin and Cantonese were in attendance. Approximately 135 people attended the in-person session. In response to this additional engagement, the applicant has made modifications to their application, including adding larger studio units and 2-bedroom units, which has reduced their overall total unit count from 65 to 55 social housing units. The current proposal for Council's consideration is a 6-story residential building with a height of 23 meters and a density of 3.1 FSR. 55 social housing units are proposed, including studio units, accessible units, and 2-bedroom units, which were included in response to the feedback received during the public engagement process. Of note, the housing operator is not secured with this rezoning application and will be secured at a later stage of the development process. Approximately 176 submissions were received through both the online question and answer period and the in-person open house. At the time of the referral report, 2 petitions were received, with 638 signatures. Support was expressed for the application for the provision of urgently needed social housing units and its suitable location near amenities, jobs, and transit. Concerns were expressed for the proposed housing tenure, deviation from policy, building height, massing and density, livability of units, proposed unit mix, impact to the neighborhood character and compatibility, safety, and language accessibility. In response to these items, regarding proposed housing tenure, the proposal follows the intent of the Downtown East Side and rezoning policy to increase the social housing stock. Regarding the deviation from policy, the rezoning policy supports new social housing sites where existing social housing exists. This site is vacant, so does not meet that criteria. However, as the proposal results in the creation of new social housing units without displacement of tenants, staff are supportive. Regarding building height, massing, and density, the plan does not include direction on form of development for social housing here, so staff have considered the RM4 zone as a comparable zone, and the proposal is consistent with the intent of the RM4 zone. Regarding massing requirements for height, density, and site design, staff have included conditions in Appendix B for further design development at the development permit stage. Regarding the livability of units, the micro-dwelling policy and guidelines regulate light and ventilation, internal unit design, storage, and amenity spaces to ensure the units are livable. Conditions have been included in Appendix B to ensure that the proposal meets the requirements of these guidelines at the time of development permit stage and to improve the livability of units. Regarding the proposed unit mix, as mentioned, the applicant has revised their unit mix in response to the feedback from the public. This change has added larger studio units and 5 two-bedroom units and has resulted in an overall reduction of units from 65 to 55. Regarding the impact to neighborhood character and compatibility, the surrounding neighborhood includes a mix of forms and tenures, and the proposal aligns with the intent of the Downtown East Side plan to provide additional affordable housing units. Regarding safety, safety of all city residents, including those living in social housing and the nearby neighborhoods, is a priority for the city. Regarding language accessibility, the City Shape Your City platform for engagement includes the ability to translate the text, and the postcards sent out to the public include language requesting that the applicant have the materials be translated. As noted previously, an in-person open house was held that included both translated materials and interpreters. Social housing that meets the city's definition is provided an exemption from DCLs, CICs, and public art contribution. The public benefit of this application is the 55 social housing units. In conclusion, staff are supportive of the application, subject to the conditions set out in Appendix B, as it meets the intent of the rezoning policy and delivers 55 social housing units. Staff and the applicant are available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Would the applicant like to present? I'll welcome you to the podium here on your right. That one, right? Yeah, right there. Yeah. If you want to adjust the height, I think it's on the right-hand side. If I'm correct, clerks? Yeah.
Should I just share the presentation? Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is Kevin Liu. I came to Canada 23 years ago. I've studied in Vancouver, graduated at SFU, started my family, and now raising 2 children. Also, about 12 years ago, I founded my first small business also here in Vancouver, distributing consumer goods to retail stores. However, it was quite a lonely business. I didn't get a chance to talk to a lot of people. So now I'm very enjoy the work in development and construction industry. I get to collaborate with people. I get to interact with people. I'm very happy. And today I lead my company called Pack Buildings and Technology. The development and construction company focus on delivering innovative and community-driven real estate projects. We're currently servicing as a development manager, owner's rep for a nonprofit Buddhist temple constructing a 150,000 square foot new build project in Richmond. As a company, we have a strong interest in scaling affordable housing and senior housing, delivering initiatives. And we have been actively exploring opportunities across Vancouver, Richmond areas with both nonprofit and for-profit partners. For Panda Project, we have consulted with several experienced local nonprofit organizations regarding design, feasibility, and long-term operational considerations. We have continuously refined our applications over the last year and a half with the team, neighbors, and the city to align those important objectives. I would like to thank city staff for their consistent and professional work on this file, and we appreciate the collaborative process and looking forward to continue working with everybody involved. To clarify, this project is not an SRO replacement. We understand the concern has been raised in that regard. However, the proposed building we named Powerhouse X represent a thoughtfully designed, affordable building for its future users. And we're confident to execute and deliver swiftly upon approval. We're here and happy to answer any questions that may be relevant to this application. And thank you for your time and considerations.
Thank you. And I assume you'll walk through the presentation? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. I just want to quickly run through a few slides and a few items to clarify for your consideration. Firstly, speaking to the vision of the property, as is mentioned before, it's to develop a vacant parking lot into social housing. It results in no displacement and is a net gain of long-term affordable rental units. The proposal itself is for a 6-story building containing 55 units of affordable rental homes. It has communal indoor and outdoor amenity space, and bike parking and storage lockers are located below grade. The homes are intended for low to moderate income residents, including local workers, families, and seniors. Each unit includes a kitchen and bathroom for independent living, with shared amenity spaces for gatherings and social engagement. Tenant eligibility will be income-based and consistent with city guidelines on social housing. While an operator is not required at rezoning, the project will legally be required to be owned and operated by a qualified nonprofit organization, as will be secured by the housing agreement. We are in active discussions with several potential operators, and we'll use the development permit stage to confirm the right fit. For context, here is a timeline of the project to date. Overall, the project has been underway for roughly 3 years. The intent of the project has always been social housing. This dates back to 2023 when the previous owner of the property initiated a rezoning inquiry for 70 units of social housing, which was supported by staff. PAC subsequently purchased the property and continued with social housing proposal, submitting a formal application in December of 2024. Following the submission of the formal application, confusion arose around the definition and the distinction between social housing and supportive housing. This was resolved in meetings with staff in February of 2025, and the project was confirmed to be social housing. As a result of the initial confusion, the online Q&A was delayed so we could update the rezoning booklet and post it to the Shape Your City website. Following 2 referrals back to staff, a multilingual open house was hosted in November of 2025. As Kevin mentioned, throughout the rezoning process, we have had direct meetings with neighbors and community groups to listen to their concerns. At the direction of council, we've also, and in addition to typical rezoning requirements, we also hosted a multilingual open house to clarify the intent of the project for the community. As mentioned, over 100 people attended. All presentation boards were in English and Chinese, and there were several translators present. We have heard the community's feedback through the open house and worked with staff to make the changes, such as reducing the number of units from 65 to 55, introducing the 2-bedroom family units, and also introducing the larger accessible studio units on the ground floor. The revised unit mix clarifies the intended tenant profile. It's independent living for people who live and work in the area. It's a mix of low and moderate income residents, and a mix of individuals, families, and seniors. In summary, we have listened carefully to the community and council's feedbacks. We've made adjustments where appropriate and remain committed to ongoing collaboration with city staff as we move forward with delivering much needed affordable rental housing. I also just want to note that Pete Atkinson of Human Studio Architecture is in attendance with us. So if there's any specific questions for him, please feel free to let us know. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for the presentation. Council, do you have any questions of staff or the applicant? And just a reminder, this is the only time to ask the applicant questions. Councillor Claassen, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks very much, Chair. So just wondering if staff can explain under the proposed housing agreement what the income thresholds will fall under and what proportion will be at shelter rate?
Thank you for the question. Sarah Robin, Housing Planner. The housing agreement will secure the affordability for the project, and the minimum requirements for affordability would be 20% at the shelter rate of income assistance and an additional 10% below the housing income limits.
Okay, is there any scenario under the proposed zoning where this building could convert to supportive housing without council approval?
It's currently being considered under the regulatory process to rezone to social housing tenure. So that's the regulatory use for the site.
Okay. Just wanted to find out, there's obviously been some concerns raised by community, some anxiety around safety. I want to talk a little bit about the crime prevention through environmental design, SEPTED principles. Is there anybody who's able to elaborate a little bit on what those SEPTED principles will be at the DP stage?
Just one moment, I'll check with the staff team.
Thanks very much. Maybe while you're doing that, and I was just wondering, has the Vancouver Police Department also been consulted on this proposal?
I might actually ask to see if the architect would like to speak to the SEPTED question.
Okay.
And I would just say that we do not send rezoning applications typically to the VPD. So
Okay. Sure thing. Go ahead.
Hi, Pete Atkinson, architect, Human Studio. The question is about SEPTED principles during the design stage.
Oh.
Yeah, so the building was designed mostly for clear sight lines. So it's a fairly straightforward building, easy access, entry, or easy visibility to the front doors. There's been a lot of consideration given to the locations where people will congregate within the building. So there's a lot of outdoor amenity space given both inside the on level 1 at the back of the property and then also up on the roof. So a lot of consideration given to adjacency to the sidewalk where people will have access to outdoor space in a safe and secure environment.
Can you just tell me what the setback from the rear of the building is? And the reason I asked that is I toured the neighboring building, which is sort of shelter level housing, and they complained of frequent fires that were being sometimes set in the back alley.
If you let me grab my notes, I can probably give you an exact number.
Sure thing.
Setback on the lane is 10.3 meters.
Okay. I'm just going to maybe go back to staff, just with regards to, we've, obviously there's been, during this process, change of operator. So now we have Lookout Housing. I've met with their team in the past. I think, broadly speaking, have a pretty good reputation here. But if there are any issues with the operation of the building, what mechanisms does the city have to intervene?
Thank you for the
I'm gonna lower
question.
that
We
podium.
would like to defer the question to the applicant.
Okay, thanks. Okay, all right. No, I said it was going to be deferred to
Yeah,
the
we can come and respond.
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, I thought it would be more of a question for staff. It was actually what tools the city may have if to intervene if necessary, just with regards to the operator.
Thanks for the question, Annie Mobiles with Housing Regulation. Typically, the city doesn't get involved in the securing of the operator for social housing, so it would be up to the owner, and I think they are in discussions with the future operator. If there are issues, once the building is tenanted, the existence of a nonprofit operator with their staff is really helpful to try to address any community concerns.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that answers your question.
And that's your
A little bit.
time,
Yeah, it's my
Councillor
time.
Dawson.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Maloney.
That's okay. I was just interested in hearing the end of that answer and wasn't sure if there'd be time. Thanks.
Okay. Is that it then, Councillor Maloney?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, council. This will be our second call for speakers. If any speakers wish to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445#. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now hear from the public. Any registered speakers in council chamber, please come forward to the left podium when your name is called. Phone-in speakers will be unmuted when your name is called. As a reminder, you have up to 5 minutes to make your comments and should limit them specifically to the merits of this application. Our first registered speaker is speaker number 1, Andrea Castanis. Welcome.
Thank you, Acting Mayor and Councillors. My name is Andrea Castanis, and I'm speaking regarding the proposal at 441 East Pender Street. I'm a longtime Strathcona resident and a volunteer. I sit on the city's neighborhood liaison table, which has been struck to allow members of the public, BIAs, community policing, provincial stakeholders, VPD, and fire to work together to improve the public realm and safety in the downtown east side, including Strathcona and Gastown. That work is underway, it's difficult, and we're all very committed to it. I've also been involved with the Strathcona Residents Association over the last 6 years. I currently sit on the board. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of residents in the neighborhood and the strata owners of the triplex heritage property immediately to the east of the subject site. The residents who will be most directly and permanently impacted by this decision. The property adjacent to this site is a beloved heritage listed property built in 1889. All of the current owners live there. They are not investors or absentee landlords or real estate speculators. 2 households include preschool-aged children. What happens on this lot will shape their daily safety, privacy, and quality of life. Council is being asked to exercise its highest discretionary power, a CD1 rezoning. That power must be exercised carefully, especially when better alternatives now exist. I want to be clear from the outset, this is not an argument against social housing or rental housing in our neighborhood. We need both. It is an argument about the specific site, policy integrity, procedural fairness, and good governance in urban planning. My first point is that Council has just unlocked several sites that are purpose-built for this type of housing. This design, this architectural project was designed as supportive housing on behalf of community builders under the micro-dwelling unit policies. While the application has been under multiple rounds of revision, the medical room and various other amenities, including a security desk location at the front and staff quarters, remain in place. This is designed to maximize whichever type of social housing operator the applicant is able to finally work with. This rezoning deviation is unjustifiable given the city's just completed review of the Downtown Eastside Plan. On December 16th, Council approved in principle zoning amendments that were significant, adding extremely groundbreaking new height and density to the Downtown Eastside, Oppenheimer District and Thornton Park areas. Further, Councillor Dominato, you worked with community to unlock capacity for 25-foot frontage sites expressly to facilitate the type of development for micro-dwelling units and SRO replacements. Those sites are already zoned directly for higher density. And against that backdrop, Council must ask, why is a spot rezoning in a single RT3 parcel on a low-rise, heritage character, family-oriented neighborhood context necessary tonight? The answer is, it isn't. My second point is one of procedural fairness, which has been fundamentally compromised throughout this process. Staff, frankly, dodged the question of what type of social housing is permitted in the draft bylaw. this has been a constant question of the neighborhood and one that remains to be answered by the applicant as to their intentions for the property. If council members look to the draft bylaw, there is no stipulations on what makeup that fits within the very broad definition of social housing can be implemented on this site. The CD1 bylaw, as proposed, is effectively asking for a blank check to be written so that all amendments can be made at the development permit stage. If you look through the materials closely, you will see that there are severe non-policy compliant matters that cannot be addressed through the site constraints that exist on this highly densified lot. I note that I'm out of time, and if there could be a motion to grant me some further time to finish my remarks, I would appreciate it.
Well, I'd have to consult council, so we typically only allow up to 5 minutes. I'll check with the clerks. But I think,
Thank you.
okay. So with respect to your request, a member of council would have to move to suspend the rules to now allow extra time to complete your comments. And so, yeah.
That's all right. Thank you.
Okay. I'm not hearing that, so thank you. Thank you for your comments this evening. I'm going to move to our second speaker, John Ulrich, who is also, I believe, here in person.
Good evening. My name is John Ulrich. As stated, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so thank you for having me, but it felt like it was something that needed to be said. I do not have the expertise that has been done by city staff or this coterie of people from the developer. I live across the street and have for the last 10 years and would like to emphasize, as been said, this is not about social housing or not social housing. Everybody in the neighborhood agrees social housing is necessary. Affordable housing is necessary. This is about whether this form of social housing in this particular spot is what's best. Who does it benefit? I really don't see it benefiting our neighborhood. We already struggle with a lot of density. There's a lot of speeding on that street. This is offering very small, very dense units. And yes, they have added 5 two-bedrooms, but they're still keeping 45 micro units of 220, 230 square feet apiece. We're talking about people of a low income being stacked on top of each other. Yeah, they've done some, but it's a 6-story building. It completely changes the character of the neighborhood. It dramatically increases how many people live on that street, which is already very dense. If there are other areas in the city where we can do something of this density, let's consider that. Let's consider something that's a little bit more appropriate for this site that maybe doesn't require the CD1 rezoning because it is a blank check. I mean, we are talking about something, yes, here you go. You don't have to define everything. Once we get to the development permit stage, then we refine all this stuff. It's very vague. I don't see how this fits with our neighborhood, how it benefits our neighborhood. I don't see how this style of housing benefits the people we're asking to live there. The people, again, I ask who benefits from this project other than numbers, either profit or getting more social housing units. I respect that. I would think that that's a good thing to do. I don't say, let's not, again, this is not a social housing or not social housing issue. It seems very clear to me about whether this is the appropriate project for this particular spot. And frankly, I don't see how it can possibly be. So thank you for allowing me to speak. I respect the developers and what they're trying to do. I respect the city staff in that they want to increase how we can social housing units, but we really have to look at, and unfortunately it falls to you guys to determine, is this really what we want because this sets a precedent for the rest of our neighborhood as well. Do I have 3 minutes or do I have 5 minutes?
Up to 5.
Oh, okay. Well, I won't use it all, but I just wanted to, again, this is very kind of nerve-wracking for me, but I'm glad that I came. Thank you for listening. And this is one thing I would also like to point out is that there are many more people that are responding in favor of this, saying we need social housing. That's why I'm emphasizing this is not about social housing or not social housing. A lot of people are not responding who are opposed to this because they view it as, and this is directly what they've said, if I say no, that means I'm against social housing. There's a grave misperception about what this project represents. Also, we have a lot of people who don't speak English as their native language. And yes, they had the public open house, and a lot of those people showed up. But they can't come tonight, calling on the phone, speaking on the phone, going through the rigmarole of getting here. There's a huge accessibility question about whether our neighborhood is being fairly represented and being fairly consulted here. That's up to people who get to determine, but we really need to look at this from a much more human aspect, not just numbers of social housing units being created. This is, yes, it is an empty lot, but there's a lot more going on in there than just numbers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Our speaker number 3 is Daniel Jackson.
Hello, my name is Dan Jackson. I'm the president of the Strathcona Residents Association and speaking on their behalf. Strathcona was once considered a blighted neighborhood that the city of Vancouver went to great efforts to demolish. Thanks to the resistance of the people who lived there, it was spared. RT3 zoning was created in part to preserve its character and its heritage. Today, despite the many challenges we face from all directions, Strathcona is a thriving urban village, a model for what the Vancouver plan proposes for other areas of the city. We are home to Chinese seniors who have been here for generations, to newly arrived Syrian and African refugees, to urban indigenous, to artists and musicians, to young families, to homeowners who take pride in preserving heritage homes. Rather than all this diversity being a problem, we consider it an asset. RT3 zoning has been key to turning a doomed neighborhood into a flourishing urban community. Yes, we are in an urban housing crisis, but our area already has thousands of social housing units and hundreds of more are opening just this year within blocks of this site. We as a neighborhood need affordable housing for seniors, for growing families, for young adults who want to build a life in Vancouver. But this proposal doesn't seem intended for those people. With 45 micro-units that seem smaller than the city's own guidelines, it doesn't seem hard to imagine that it won't follow the downward spiral of many SROs. That concerns us. We acknowledge the challenge of housing people who struggle with mental illness and addiction. We know buildings where sidewalks are crammed with people who don't want to be in their miserable rooms. We know how often police, fire, and EMTs are called. We have sympathy and pity for them. We want them to be cared for, but we've also seen how they can corrode a community. Despite the good intentions of this proposal, we don't see any guarantees that prevent that from happening. Pender is a residential street with many Chinese seniors, 2 churches, a large housing co-op, a few 2-story duplexes, and a large elementary school. For the most part, it feels safe to walk down. We want to keep it that way. City plans and zoning bylaws are created with the intent of shaping a positive future. I urge council to be cautious before tossing them aside for the benefit of an eager developer or a single priority. As a spokesman for the Strathcona Residents Association, I ask you to respect the plans and zoning that are in place and working and to oppose this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker is Kevin Westo in person. Good evening.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council that are present. I'm writing and speaking in my personal capacity as a Strathcona resident and parent, and I oppose this rezoning application. This is a rezoning application that sits nearly kitty corner, a quarter block from Strathcona Elementary School, where between 450 to 500 children attend school daily. This project is bad for the neighborhood and it compromises the public safety of the residents in general, and it specifically compromises the safety of the children that attend that school. The unit mix is essentially an SRO. No matter what you want to call it, it is 46 micro dwellings, and it's 9% family units against a planned target of 25%. It's not family housing and it's not seniors housing. It's high density micro units in a low rise heritage neighborhood. And you can look at the mock-up to see how discordant it is visually. How it looks is not my concern though. The site is on a main pedestrian route for kids walking to and from the elementary school. We already deal with public disorder, drug use, and property crime in the area, and let me assure you, I am a criminal lawyer. I have represented many of the vulnerable people that live and reside and spend time in the neighborhood, and I have a tremendous amount of empathy for them. I've also represented many of the police officers that patrol in the area. I have an intimate knowledge from living in the area of the challenges that these people face. And I know that when people come to live in buildings like this, single occupancy buildings, the people that prey on those people are the ones that move in as well. And in particular, it is no secret, it is well publicized that the Zone 43 organized crime group is very active in the area, preying on the vulnerable people that use housing like this. They have brought violence and gunplay and danger to citizens and danger to police officers at an increased level to our neighborhood that already struggles with those issues. This will create a direct and serious safety risk for kids at the elementary school, for the seniors who use that corridor daily. This is not hypothetical. It's a pattern we've seen in similar buildings in the downtown east side, and there's nothing in the rezoning application that addresses or mitigates the risk, and there's been no consultation with the Vancouver Police Department, whose job it is to make sure that those kids are safe and that we're all safe. To be clear, I am not saying that those that will use the residents are a risk to public safety, but those that will prey on them and do prey on them will cause a safety risk, and there's nothing in place to stop that or to deal with that. A couple other issues I want to raise related to safety. The form of development is not ready for approval in principle. Staff acknowledged blank sidewalls, inadequate ground level amenities, vacate deficiencies, and departures from RT3 streetscape expectations. All were deferred to development permit stage. The urban design panel review was inexplicably waived. These are not minor refinements. These are foundational design issues. Once the CD1 is enacted, the public has no standing in the development permit process, and council should not approve a form of development in principle when staff themselves concede it does not currently meet applicable guidelines. As well, the opposition has been overwhelming and consistent. Across petitions, in-person sessions, and online comment forums, opposition significantly outweighs support. These concerns are not abstract. They track directly to the policy gaps that have been outlined by myself and other speakers: unspecified affordability, policy deviation, and design deficiencies. Even after divisional language access engagement sessions, the dominant response remained opposition. Council should do one of two things here. Reject the application, anchored in the fact that council has already unlocked appropriate capacity in the downtown east side and Thornton Park areas for this housing model, or alternatively, refer this back a third time for proper engagement on the current proposal and require explicit affordability tiers written into the CD1, clear caps on shelter rate units and housing mix reflecting 25% family housing mix and secured senior units, a prohibition on supportive housing without separate rezoning, council approval for any operator change, development permit-ready drawings reviewed by the urban design panel, and if necessary, a formal amendment to the downtown east side rezoning policy for any Area D departure is approved. These are the reasons I oppose this development. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Christopher Lee.
Oh.
Hello, go ahead. You have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Lee, and I'm a resident, and I'm fully in favor of this application. And I apologize I started going off with this anecdote, but I felt like it. actually, before I spoke here today, I spoke to a student who lived in the area and goes to Botanica Secondary School. And while he couldn't speak today, as the busiest student he is, he told me a few things that I'd like to mention today. First thing is he told me about how wonderful and welcoming the community is. Even listening to the speakers today, it seems like every speaker is in favor of this. I think that proves. And he just talked to me about how the assertions that these people are unsafe and are going to hurt the community is blatantly wrong. And I want to make this quick. So what I'll end off with is, contrary to popular belief, this is a part of the character of Vancouver, a space that welcomes everybody and a place that accepts everybody. And this, by approving this application, you will continue to let that happen. Thank you so much, Council, to approve this rezoning. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in this evening. Our next speaker is speaker number 6, Jamie McLaren.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Jamie. You have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, councillors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you again this evening. My name is Jamie McLaren. I'm a longtime resident of Strathcona with a 10-year-old son who attends Strathcona Elementary. I'm speaking in opposition to this application. My comments this evening are in the same basic vein as my comments on Tuesday evening when I spoke regarding the proposed mega tower developments at East Hastings and Glen. Once again, Council has been asked to approve rezoning for a precedent-setting development of marginal or negative public value in direct contravention of its own carefully crafted policies and plans. I'm not sure why City staff continue to recommend approval of this type of misplaced and moving target application when they openly admit it violates Council's adopted policies. In this case, staff's recommendation is in clear contravention of the downtown east side rezoning policy for Area D Strathcona. Now, Area D permits rezoning only for sites with existing social housing being expanded or sites fronting Gore Avenue. This site meets neither criterion. Just because you can depart from your own policy doesn't mean you should depart from your own policy. Just because a private applicant comes to you with an opportunity to boost its profits doesn't mean you should scrap months or years of thoughtful work and consultation that went into developing your own community-centered policy. Also, it's not clear here, or in the case of the West Bank mega towers, that a judge, if petitioned, would let you depart from your own policy. Mayor and Council adopted specific bounded criteria for a specific reason, to prevent incremental erosion of Strathcona's character through case-by-case exceptions. This housing can and should be met elsewhere. Specifically, it should be met in the downtown east side Oppenheimer district and Thornton Park areas that allow SRO replacement buildings of up to 12 stories on 25-foot lots. The report before Council tonight acknowledges this directly. The proposed SRO development proposes barely livable spaces for vulnerable residents and presents very real safety concerns for children attending Strathcona Elementary. Our neighborhood has been very welcoming to social housing developments over the course of its history, but it also lives with the negative consequences of ill-considered and misplaced social housing. I walk each day along Union Street and see the disorder and suffering that drug dealing from the Nora Hendricks building has brought to the neighborhood. Likewise, I walk along East Hastings most days and see the good and bad elements of our community. We should do everything we can to minimize the risk that bad elements are brought within one block of an elementary school. For all these reasons and others voiced by residents of Strathcona who must live with your decisions, I encourage Council to reject this application. Thank you.
Thanks for calling in this evening. Our next speaker is Elliot Klein.
I'm a resident of East Vancouver. I support this application for a couple reasons. One, I think that this is a good proposal for bringing in affordable rental homes for people who are already part of the city, workers, seniors, low to moderate income people. I think that as somebody who lives in East Van in general, the housing, that is the housing opportunities here, the apartment buildings are seriously just not really in good condition. There are so many old buildings falling apart that are not being maintained well, and we need the opportunity to build new housing in East Vancouver because I feel like this part of the city has been neglected with a lot of newer development. And this is going to help broadly stabilize the housing market by offering new housing opportunities, increasing the housing stock in the area. And another factor that constantly concerns me is that a lot of these deteriorating buildings that exist are often not really still meeting the requirements of like a safe and high quality of living. With the huge amount of heat waves we're getting in the summer, I know in my apartment specifically, which had very old windows that were not being upgraded because it's an older building, I was getting 30 degrees Celsius temperatures in my apartment. And I can't imagine if you're anyone in a vulnerable population, older person who doesn't have exactly the mobility to move elsewhere, and you're dealing with these 30-degree Celsius summer temperatures, it's just not a conducive living environment. And I think that this is really important that we keep implementing projects that can help increase the housing supply so more people can live safely in Vancouver without being priced out, because the vacancy rate is incredibly low in the city. And we need to have more opportunity for people to find housing, especially for seniors to potentially downsize. Seniors that are worried about right now, they can't find anything on the market because the market rates are so high, so they'd rather stay in the apartment that they've been in for so many years, maybe in a far bigger apartment than they need to, rent controlled, when they could downsize to somewhere that might be more thermally efficient, it's not going to be as hot in the summer, and it might allow them to open up their current place for other people, for younger families to flourish.
Is that it, Speaker?
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in this evening. Rick Gregory, in person. Welcome.
Evening, Council and Acting Mayor. I'm speaking in favor of the development. You might be wondering why I'm here. I have a fondness for modular construction, and this building lends itself well to modular, and the owner knows prefab and is a proponent of the modular industry, and is in fact doing some test modules right now. And I want to be here to support that. I think this is quite an opportunity. It's the right type of building. The units are very regular, and I'd like to ask staff to keep the door open for modular, because it does require some special effort, and there are things about modular that's not common to traditionally stick-built buildings. And I know the city has been involved with some modular, so you'll have some experience from that perspective as well. But I think this is a project that even if it doesn't end up being a modular project, I think it's one that I support strongly. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your comments. Speaker number 9 has withdrawn. Speaker number 10 is Dana Deschene. We have Dana on the line.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Wonderful. My name's Dana Deschene, and I'd like to thank the council for their attention to this issue. I've been a resident of Strathcona for the past 15 years, and I'm an active member of the Strathcona Residents Association. I stand in opposition to the rezoning application at 441 East Pender Street. In the spring of 2025, I initiated a petition on change.org to solicit community feedback regarding this proposed rezoning. Our community remains strongly opposed to this application as previously outlined. As of the date of this meeting, our petition has received 624 signatures, which have been submitted to the Shape Your City page. I echo the feedback from the other speakers and stand with my community against this rezoning. On a personal note, I reside adjacent to the modular housing development known as Nora Hendricks Place, located at 258 Union Street in Vancouver. It's common to observe individuals in distress on the sidewalk, open drug dealing, and ambulances and fire trucks routinely present at the site. While I'm able-bodied and strive to demonstrate compassion towards all members of our community, I'm concerned that the proposed location at 441 East Pender may put vulnerable populations at risk due to its proximity to schools and senior-assisted living facilities. Unlike myself, children and elderly residents, particularly those within the local Chinese community, cannot easily avoid these situations. It's our collective responsibility to protect our most vulnerable citizens, and I do not believe this rezoning aligns with the best interests of our community. Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you for your time this evening. Our next speaker is Parker Zhang.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Parker, and I'm a student here in downtown Vancouver, and I'm speaking today in strong support of this proposal at 441 East Pender Street. Just in general, as a student, I see every day how the lack of affordable housing is forcing people out of our city, and this project is a practical solution that just takes this small site and turns it into 55 permanently affordable homes. It includes both market rentals and below market rentals, and it represents just one more example of how we can build more housing in a part of the city that has been neglected and can truly reach its full potential through projects like these. I believe that the East Pender Street project is just one opportunity among many that City Council should support so that more affordable homes can get onto the rental market and keep young professionals, university graduates, and students like myself, as well as long-standing residents who may need to move for whatever reason, that this development can help keep people within the Strathcona neighborhood. I want to address also that some of the comments I'm hearing tonight are really disappointing, and it also sounds a little bit like it's been misconstrued and misrepresented. There's a major misconception that I'm hearing that just because a building is run by a nonprofit, it's automatically an SRO project. I want to be really clear after reading through what this project is proposing that these are not SROs and that they're 55 self-contained individual rental units. They have their own kitchens, they have their own amenities, and these are dignified, well-planned, well-thought-out buildings that can help have people in affordable homes. What I've read tonight in comments and just listening to other residents is that this assumption that nonprofit housing automatically means SROs is simply false. But more beyond that, I'm also horrified that some of the comments have implied directly or indirectly that this project automatically means more unsafe streets or that the crime rates will increase. As a resident who does live beside SROs, I do understand that, there are concerns regarding these types of developments, but this is not one of these cases. I also think that the rhetoric in general that I'm just hearing is not conducive to a constructive environment, and I feel like the opposition is not just opposing this specific development, but more in general developments that are trying to make the city more affordable, and I want us all to lower the rhetoric and diction that's being used, because some of it is simply dehumanizing. While I understand that the community's concerns around the history of SROs in this neighborhood are completely valid, this project is actually the solution to these problems. By building high-quality, dignified housing like this, we create the very reason that fewer SROs will be needed to be built in the future. I want to stress once again that these are rental buildings. And so this development offers a healthy mix of housing, both market rental rates and below market rentals. It provides 46 studios and 5 two-bedroom family homes, ensuring that everyone from local workers and seniors to modest income households have a place to live in Vancouver and Strathcona. And if we want to keep our workers, artists, seniors, and students in Vancouver, this is the exact type of development that we as a city should support. Thank you for your time. I hope that you move this forward.
Thanks for calling in this evening. Our next speaker is Eric Froese, speaker number 12.
Hello, my name is Eric, and I'm speaking as a Vancouver resident in favor of the rezoning application at 441 East Pender. The addition of 55 social housing units provides affordable housing to Vancouver's most vulnerable population near the services and supports they rely on. I hope that you move this forward, and thank you so much for your time and for the opportunity to speak.
Thanks for calling in this evening. Our next speaker is speaker 13, Eve Wu. Eve?
Speaker 13 is not on the line.
Thank you. Speaker number 14, Danielle Anen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak today. I'm speaking as a student in Vancouver, and I want to strongly urge Council to accept this application and support this proposal. I don't think it's news to anybody that Vancouver needs more rental housing, especially homes that are affordable for people who already live in the city and people that work in the city. I think adding affordable rental units helps give renters more stability and more options in a city where rents continue to rise. Projects like this one, they help people stay in their communities instead of being pushed farther away from work, school, and local supports. The site is near good transit and everyday services, and it makes it a practical place to add new housing. I also think the range of studio and family units will help meet a broad range of housing needs, including seniors who live in homes and are looking for affordable options to downsize, and students like myself who may want to find a permanent home in the city. All in all, I encourage Council to approve this proposal and help deliver much-needed housing for Vancouver residents. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Our next speaker, speaker 15, is Teresa Vander Tu.
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Teresa, go ahead.
I strongly oppose this application to rezone a lot. I moved to Vancouver and I've lived here for over 40 years, and I moved into the neighborhood 29 years ago, and I live across from this lot. I think some of the most recent commenters are really escalating something. They're missing the point. The people in the neighborhood, I've lived here for 29 years. I'm an active participant in its growth and development and supporting the low-income population. I am including myself in that. And yes, there are problems that people deal with, but this is a rezoning application. It's not opposing social housing. It's rezoning RT3. And part of the RT3 is a residential area. And the Director of Planning is supposed to consider the height, bulk, location, and overall design of the building and their impact on the site, surrounding buildings, streets, and existing views. The Director of Planning is supposed to consider the amount of open space, the preservation of the character and general amenity desired for the area, and the intent of the schedule and all applicable council policies and guidelines. This application is proposing to change that zoning to comprehensive development. If you look at those renderings that the application shows, you'll see it's a big 6-story block plopped into a very tight, dense residential area. And it will just have such a huge impact on the neighborhood. And the speakers who have spoken against this application before me tonight, they're so articulate and have been able to identify so many of the problems. But it's not just numbers, I have to say. It's not just, adding 55 units. That has now been rezoned by this city council very recently in surrounding areas. And I also have to ask, those people who are supportive of social housing, did they speak in favor of that motion that council turned down to spread social housing through the rest of the city? No, council turned down that motion and focused on this area, the downtown east side. There's really some misunderstandings going on, and this kind of spot rezoning is just not going to do it. It's not going to increase any social housing. This adds, 17 units at shelter rate? Not even maybe. 38 of those units are not at shelter rate. They're not providing housing for people on low income. They're just putting people in shoeboxes. And that means, what do people who live in shoeboxes do? They have to come outside. They have to hang around. That's why Carnegie's around. That's why Evelyn Saller's around. That's why Oppenheimer Park is people in there round the clock. That's why people come out onto the sidewalk. Because you can't spend 24 hours in a shoebox. You've got to do something better. And it's just going to impact this neighborhood. Anyway, I've gotten all emotional. So I'm going to just remind folks, this is not against social housing. This is against the rezoning of one little block in a very tightly dense residential block. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you for calling in this evening. That brings us to the end of our registered speakers list. I understand, though, that we have Chloe Lesmeister on the line. Is that right?
Yes.
Go ahead, Chloe.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. My name is Chloe Lesmeister. I've been a resident of the downtown east side for 16 years, and I also work as a special education teacher at Lord Strathcona Elementary. And I also live directly across the street from the proposed rezoning. And so I am in strong opposition of the rezoning. I've looked into the history of the Strathcona's RT zoning, which is decades of community planning, and I feel like the RT zoning has highly benefited this neighborhood and created a lot of stability. And I also feel like the policies that the city has come up with for Strathcona housing policy would be better utilized at this site. So the Strathcona housing policy prioritizes affordable infill housing within the existing neighborhood character and family-sized housing that supports stability and long-term community health. This project meets neither of those objectives and is within half a block of Strathcona Elementary, which is in urgent need of family housing. We don't need dense micro suites that don't support families beside the school or long-term residents. The units, the SRO style units, as Teresa said previously, are extremely small, and we have so much housing like that in the neighborhood, which does cause people to go out onto the street because of that. This rezoning fails to meet the city rezoning criteria. It's not an existing social housing parcel, and it is not fronting on Gore, a prerequisite for height and density increases. I am in total support of social housing in this neighborhood. We have some wonderful projects going up at Gore and Hastings. We have one going up at Jackson and Hastings. I know that there's a big project that's going to be going on at also at Hastings and Gore across the street from another one. So there are an incredible amount of projects that are providing housing in this area. But what I feel this spot needs is family housing. We are missing family-sized homes, missing middle housing. I work with families that live all over the downtown east side. These kiddos live in many areas that are quite chaotic and live in very poor housing. And I feel like this parcel would be perfect for family housing, middle-income housing, low-income housing for families right by the street, because I also know tons of middle-income families that just cannot find housing for families in this neighborhood. Strathcona is an amazing school, but the students there are deeply vulnerable, and they experience a significant amount of challenges in this neighborhood. So I feel like when we are doing our planning, we need to be planning with all of those hundreds of children in mind. They're often overlooked, and we need to think of safety and enriching healthy environments, because what happens now at Strathcona, it's a school that I've worked all over the school district, and I have never encountered situations where you have to be so careful about who's coming on the grounds or having human feces on the playground, or just you have to be very, very hyper aware of what's going on around the school grounds because of what goes on in the neighborhood. So I feel like we need to move towards more thinking about our families, especially around the school, and building an area that can make this area safer for families and kids. So I reject the rezoning, and hopefully this could be made into wonderful family housing for families that could go to Strathcona Elementary.
Thank you
you.
for calling in this evening. Thank you. Clerk's checking to see if there's any other speakers in chamber who wish to speak to this item. If you do, please come to the podium now. Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Chuck Puckmeyer. I'm the president of the Lookout Health and Housing Society. We're not a proponent, but of course we are considered and we're in the running. I want to first of all acknowledge the people from Strathcona that have spoken tonight. I did about a quarter of a century on New Westminster Council. I've been to many public hearings, and many of them lasted way into the next day. And so I understand the concerns people have when a development comes into their community. It's understandable that there are some concerns, there are some fears. It's human nature. But I want to state, you know, what is happening right now, especially in our organization. We have a rapidly growing cohort of seniors coming to our shelters, you know, knocking on our doors saying, my partner's passed away. I can no longer keep my apartment. I have nowhere to go. I can't afford the rents that are being asked or charged in the area. And they come to our organization for shelter. We've even created some spaces that are strictly for seniors. So when seniors come off the street into a shelter, we keep them segregated from normal shelter users, and we have a special place that we can put them in while we work with senior services societies and other organizations to try to place that senior and sometimes that senior couple. It's a rapidly growing segment of our society is homelessness and seniors. These units, what is so unique about them, granted they are smaller than what people expect, but the cost per square foot of building today is unbelievable. The escalation, there was a while there, a year ago I was tracking it, it was about 2% a month increase in the cost of building. And so by the time those projects are built, the cost of producing those at 600, 700 square feet, no one can afford them. And people that wish to provide rental units, the payback is so long that a lot of people aren't getting into the business of providing rents. With our organization, we have some buildings that may only have 10% of people transferring from shelter into our buildings. We just opened the new Powell Street Horizon. I hope you guys come down and visit it soon. We're populating it right now. We have below market, we have rent geared to income, and then we have numerous units that are for families. We have 3-bedroom units, 2-bedroom units, 1-bedroom units. We've got single moms moving in on Powell Street, right by Oppenheimer Park with children. We have single dads that are signing up, that are moving in with children. They're doing so because they're able to afford the rents in those buildings, especially the subsidized rents. I need to stress that this project here, it is not an SRO. It is not a single room occupancy. It is not where people are sharing a bathroom down the hall or sharing a kitchen. These are contained units. I wish all the SROs in Vancouver and the Lower Mainland were units like this. You have your own bathroom, you have your own cooking facilities, you have your own bed, and these are beautiful units. They're dry, they're clean, they're in a beautiful community. I mean, Chinatown, I come down here a lot, and I know it has its struggles and it has its challenges, but wow, to be able to live in an area like that, a senior that no longer can afford their home in Strathcona, maybe a single senior, they can move into a place like that, remain in their community, a student that wants to go to school in the area. This is a win-win for the community. And you know, the whoever the provider is, you know, obviously will work with the community and make sure that they integrate well and that there's a great line of communication between whoever that provider is and the community. I think this is a win-win for the community, and I hope strongly that you support it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chuck, for coming in. And hang on, I see Councillor Montague on the queue, so he might have a question for you. It's just one moment. Go ahead, Councillor Montague.
Yeah, just a quick question since you're in the business. What's the process for a project like this? What would be the process for the selection of tenants?
For the tenants,
Is it strictly an income process, or is there other things that are looked at?
well, some is, but well, I'll give you an example. The Powell Street Horizon. It's something unique for us because of the variety of units. So we understand clearly that there will be some seniors, there will be some families, and so we make sure that when we populate that building, that there's a good mix, and there's a mix that is going to be safe, and a mix that is going to work in that model. It has to work. We have a building out in Mission, I think. 10% of the units are people from Shelter Inn. They're scattered throughout the building, so they're not congregated. It works really well. It's like they sort of become a part of the community, and there's an excellent integration. So we're conscious of how you populate buildings, and we have so many different models. For instance, you know, we have the Bell Court, which is you know, a lot of lower income working people. We have the Horizon. We're able to move people around also in our number of buildings that we have. But yeah, we have a professional person working on it right now, and they're making sure that there's a good balance of people. There are interviews that are done. Some people meet the criteria and are welcomed in. Others may find housing in one of our other buildings, a different building. So we have a lot of flexibility as the lookout.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for the question, and thanks, Chuck, for coming in person. I'm just checking one last time if there's any other speakers here in person in chambers wishing to speak to this item, and then I'll also check if there's anyone on the line, clerks.
There is no one on the line, Chair.
Okay, in that case, I will do our third and final call for speakers. If anyone wishes to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We are going to take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or to come forward to the podium. Thanks, Council. 2 minutes. We're good. We're quorum. Okay. Just checking in. Do we have any further speakers in chambers or on the line?
Just checking the line. Yes, it looks like we may have a speaker on the line. One moment, please.
Thank you.
Hi, speaker ending in 3255. Are you calling in for this item?
I am, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Go ahead, please. And we'll need you to state
Hi.
your name and whether you're a resident of Vancouver and whether you're in favor or in opposition to the application.
Yeah, Pete Fry, City of Vancouver, longtime listener, first time caller. And I'm neither in favor nor in opposition. And guys, I'm at UBCM right now, so it's obviously highly unusual for me to call in. Haven't been listening to the entire item, and I probably would have
Councillor
conflicted
Fry,
out.
just Councillor Fry, just
Yeah.
hang on before you keep going. I'm just wanting to confirm, are you participating in this item? Just so I'm clear on your role, are you?
I'm not calling in as a counselor. I'm calling in as a resident of the immediate area.
Okay, just give me one moment, Councillor Fry. I'm just going to confer with the clerks. Councillor Fry, just give us a moment. We're going to take a brief 5-minute recess and consult legal.
Got it. 5 minutes. Okay, sure.
Maybe less. Don't go far. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, council and members of the public and staff and others for your patience. I think we're just going to check now again if there's anyone else on the line.
There is no one on the line.
Okay. Thank you for that. Sorry, that may have seemed a little anticlimactic there. That is the end of our speakers list then. And so in that case, I am going to close the speakers list and I'm going to check with clerks if there's been a large volume of public comments since 5 p.m.
There has not been.
Okay. In that case, I'm going to close receipt of public comments on this item. And now would be the time, applicant, if you wanted to make some closing comments. I saw you were standing up earlier, so you're welcome to come back to the podium and make any closing comments.
I want to take the opportunity to thank everybody's valuable feedbacks and your time. And sometimes I wonder, what is our role? And I believe we are a startup company. We're a team of entrepreneurs. We're hoping to we have big dreams of deliver really good buildings very quickly. So at the same time, we want to start with something somewhere that's relevant to us, and we believe this is a very meaningful project. Very looking forward to work with the neighborhood to have a successful delivery of the project and to introduce more of us down the road and to present through results. So again, thanks to everybody's effort on, and considerations on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Staff, do you have any closing comments?
Thank you. Yes, we'd like to make a few closing comments. So we want to ensure that it is clear that the proposal is for social housing units. These are not supportive housing and these are not SRO units. The project does meet our definition of social housing. We don't see many projects like this that are delivering social housing, let alone net new rather than renewal. This is a vacant site, so this doesn't result in any tenant displacement. The city does have a need for social housing, and we have not yet met our targets. There are many other very successful social housing projects that have been delivered with good operators, and we would work with the applicant here to ensure that we achieve that same outcome. And then just finally, we do have design conditions to further improve the form and design of the building at the development permit stage. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Council, any further questions? Only to staff at this time. I do see a few of you. Councillor Meisner, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Question to staff. There was a comment from one of the speakers around the units being smaller than the city minimums. I'm just wondering if staff can expand on what the regulations are around unit size, given that these are micro dwellings.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Michelle, Development Planner. The units fall under the micro-dwelling guidelines, which sets a minimum of 250 square feet, and all of the units meet that minimum.
Okay, thank you for that. And then in terms of how that compares to, I'm thinking about recent social housing buildings in the city that are micro dwellings, I presume. Gosh, I don't know where we're going with this question. I guess what I want to ask is, do we have other social housing buildings in this city that are similar unit size, that are newly, say, constructed within the past 5 years? Or would this be a first of its kind for Vancouver?
I'm going to hand this over to my colleague, Sarah.
Thank you for the question. Sarah Robin, Housing Planner. There is a project that I believe has reached occupancy very recently on Powell Street that does have micro units that would be similar in size to the ones proposed in this project.
Okay, but that is the only other one you're aware of?
In terms of micro units, I can't think at the moment of other projects. There may be.
Okay, thank you. The other question I had was around the operator, and I just want to clarify. I understand the operator has not yet been appointed, but does that decision, that decision is independent of council, correct? We don't have any influence on that.
That's correct.
Mm.
For this site, it would be a decision of the applicant rather than council.
Okay. So no levers in terms of, tenanting or the operator that council can exercise.
There's nothing that I'm aware of in terms of council's involvement in that process.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's it for me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councillor Meisner. Councillor Claassen, go ahead.
Thanks very much, Chair. To our staff, is CD1 zoning a blank check? Thanks, Templar. Time is of the essence.
No.
Okay, but you appreciate where that's coming from. We heard comments that people were very concerned that this, just by getting this change of zoning, that there's no sort of community benefit or obligations that come forward in terms of adherence to our sort of standards.
It's a fair question. So, and just for clarity, CD1 bylaws are really just a site-specific zoning application and amendment, which isn't covered otherwise by our normal standard district schedules. They range from everything from social housing all the way up to strata. On the topic of affordability and viability, social housing and these types of projects are the most difficult to achieve and to deliver on. So I would certainly not suggest that there's land lift or increased value that is being captured in that sense, if that's the implication.
Okay, thanks very much. And I know Councillor Meisner asked a question, but I know that on some of the tours that I've done, that I've been in some buildings with micro units. Some of them are retrofits. I'm not sure if I've been to one that's necessarily brand new. I want to ask a question around cultural sensitivity, because this is a neighborhood that is predominantly on that block Chinese seniors. Chinese people of Chinese diaspora, and I want to know what we can imagine this housing. Will it be suitable for potentially with the operator for people from that population there? Would they feel at home in this building?
Thank you for the question. There's nothing that would, limit the applicant from making the building welcome for any community, including the Chinese seniors community. So I would say that would be something that certainly they are listening tonight and can take into consideration.
Thanks very much. There were some comments made by speakers talking about people being out on the street because the units are small. I think everybody sort of makes their own home their living space, but is there any sort of common area or gathering space associated with this project that people would be able to congregate if necessary?
Thank you for the question. Yes. So I mentioned the micro dwelling guidelines before, and so on the original rezoning application, staff did a review, and we provided conditions to increase livability, and some of the livability components were for outdoor amenity, and we added a condition recommending to add outdoor amenity presumably to the roof, because that would be where the project would allow it. And so they provided a test fit and indicated that they would be able to provide that at DP.
The building has some accessible units, a small number of accessible units.
Yes.
Chuck Buckmeyer brought up seniors. It spoke to me a lot because I know how important older adults need these living spaces right now. Will this building be suitable in terms of, to our understanding, for its finishings, making sure the accessible hallways, hand railings, the kinds of things that you need to make sure that places are comfortable for older adults?
I mean, I would say that this building with the, what is it, 4 accessible? There's 4 accessible units on the ground floor, and that those would certainly be suitable for seniors. Yeah, I think that's what you're asking.
Okay. All right. I feel like that's been aired here, so hopefully the applicant gets to hear more sort of consideration for that. I think I'm going to pause right there. I'm coming close to my time. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councillor Clausen. Seeing no further councillors on the queue, I'd like someone to move the application, please. Oh, sorry, I may have missed a step. Oh, did we receive any further correspondence, clerks?
Checking, Chair.
Thank you.
We did not.
Thank you. In that case, okay, we've done closure of receipt of comments. We'll move to decision, council. Can I get someone to move the application? Moved, Councillor Orr. Seconded, Councillor Clausen. And now moving to debate. Please put yourself on the queue if you wish. Councillor Clausen, is that from before? This is main queue? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Clausen, sorry.
Yeah, thanks very much. So it's interesting that this project has been I don't know how to describe it, been a bit fraught. This is the third time that it's come back to council. We've heard a lot from community. We've heard concerns about the potential for tenant mix. We've heard criticisms of the size but stemming from the cost per square foot for development. We've heard concerns around the contrast to a heritage building next door. At the end of the day, we have to be looking into the future in terms of how we are in constructing our neighborhoods. The conversation around seniors is one that is resonates very deeply with me right now. And I do think that this is a work in progress. If we pass this project as it is right now, then there are going to be some considerations, I think, in terms of how the building is operated and tenanted. And one stakeholder that is known to many of us, Percy Wong from Gaia Cares Society, who is a passionate advocate for seniors in the Chinatown community, expressed his view that if this project goes forward, notwithstanding his reservations, that he could see this being a place that really serves his community and the community as a whole. And this is the thing that I sort of see about this. Having spent time talking to some people who are some would refer to it as down at their luck, but I've been to a lookout to one of their buildings and spoken to some residents there. And usually it is older folks who are looking for a safe living space. And but I also see this building has a great potential for another mixed population. Somebody mentioned artists, potentially students, but then again, it has to live within the guidelines set out. But I do think that this neighborhood has gone through a lot, and I think they deserve to be heard and respected, and because they are on the front line of a very neighborhood with a lot of poverty, a lot of street disorder, and so we need to make sure that what goes in here is operated really well with a great mix of people who are going to love being in the neighborhood as much as the people who live there now. So I just really wanted to verbalize some of the things that I have heard and feel as though that this project has merit, but it also the people who are building it and the people who will operate it have to hear very clearly from council that we want to make sure that this is something that is very compatible with the neighborhood. It is near a school, so questions are raised in it. We do not want to bring the problems of other areas into this very wonderful street and neighborhood. We want to make sure that it's harmonious with the community and that it adds to the community in terms of making sure that people have a very livable and safe a place where they can thrive at any point in their life. So So with that, I plan to support this application, but I want to make it very clear that it's very important that this is a good fit for community. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Claassen. I've added myself to the queue, and I'm going to relinquish the chair to Councillor Montague. And I just offer a few comments. I'd also like to acknowledge and give thanks to all the speakers who've spoken here in person and those on the line, and a number of you obviously from the neighborhood. I know the neighborhood quite well. And I guess my reflections, starting with, it's an interesting proposal. Staff kind of daylighted in their closing comments that this is a vacant site, so there's no displacement, which is often a concern that's raised at council as part of public hearings. It's a fairly modest proposal building compared to what we've seen of late. And the social housing component is, I don't think it's unique, but it is quite different than what's been described. I know there was a number of people spoke and characterized this as an SRO. It is not an SRO. It's not even supportive housing. And I used to chair a nonprofit that has hundreds and hundreds of units across the city in supportive housing and a range. It's not that. It is social housing. What I found interesting and compelling about some of the discussion tonight was Chuck Puckmeyer highlighted increasing homelessness in seniors. That is a trend. We've seen it in our homeless count. We're seeing it across the region. And so the micro units might very well serve that population well. They're not necessarily needing a lot of space, but needing safe, clean homes and housing. And I think, as Councillor Claassen noted, could serve a whole range of others. It could be artists, it could be students. That's another issue we have, is that we have students who are having a hard time finding housing to go to university here. This is an epidemic worldwide, is trying to find student housing. But I do want to speak to, and I think it was raised through some questions, and as Councillor Claassen noted, we heard from Gaia Community Care that wrote council about this matter, is I would ask the applicant, I'm looking at you, applicant, is to really think about, you talked about coming here and you're raising your family and you're really proud of what you're bringing forward, which I appreciate, is to really think about the adjacency to Chinatown, the community that's there already, because I think that's where Gaia Cares was coming from, is thinking about seniors needing to age in place. And I would encourage you potentially to reach out to them as part of your planning work, because I think there's a real opportunity here to bring something positive in terms of social housing that's affordable, that meets a variety of different needs, but also respects that there is a really strong community there and considerations, and also try to meet the needs of certain demographics as well. And I appreciate that for those of you who came and spoke tonight, who are representing the Residents Association of Strathcona and so on, you may not like where I'm going with this in terms of my support for the application, but I think there is a way to make this work that's thoughtful. And so that would be, well, we can't compel the applicant to do anything or who they work with. I would encourage it, because I think it will make for a better project. And that comes from not just wearing a councillor hat, but having worn a nonprofit hat. I've found that generally collaboration leads to better outcomes. And so with that, based on everything I've heard, I'm prepared to support the application, and I wanted to put some of those ideas out on the table for consideration. Thank you, Councillor Montague, for giving me the space to speak. Seeing no one else in the queue, I am going to call the vote. I'm just going to check, do we have anyone online to vote? No. In that case, I will, sorry, lost my mic. And Council, if you could register your votes. Thank you. That passes unanimously with, do I have to note absences? No, okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, Council. Thank you, applicant. Thank you, staff. Just give 1 minute as people transition out as we move to our second item, and that does complete item 1. We're going to move to item 2, CD1 843 text amendment 888 West Broadway, formerly 878 898 West Broadway. Before we begin, are there any conflicts of interest? Hearing none, the clerk will now read the application and summary of correspondence received to date.
This is an application by West Group Properties to amend CD1 district at 888 West Broadway, formerly 878 to 898 West Broadway, to change the use of 11-story tower from hotel to residential to permit the inclusion of 105 rental units, of which 10% of the residential floor area will be secured for below-market rental units. No changes to the overall floor space ratio of 8.96 and the height of 51 meter are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set on the summary and recommendation. No correspondence has been received on this application since it was referred to public hearing.
Thank you, clerks. Sorry, bear with me for a minute. Go ahead, Councillor Clausen.
I just wanted to confirm with the clerk, are there any speakers to this item?
No, there's no registered speakers.
I'd like to gauge council's appetite for waiving the staff presentation. Okay,
So
so I'll
been moved and seconded.
Seconded. Thanks very much.
Not seeing anyone on to debate, so all in favor of waiving the presentation? And
Thanks
that
very
carries.
much.
Thank you, council. Thank you, staff. Would the Oh, I will have to do. Yeah, sorry for that. This is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item may call 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445#. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We've waived the staff presentation. Would the applicant like to make a presentation? I don't think I see anyone coming to the podium. Are they online?
Good evening. My name is Kyle Wright with Bosa Properties. I'd like to thank staff and council for hearing this item. I'm available to answer questions if you have any. Our architect, Sean Lapointe, with Enriquez Partners Architects, is also in attendance tonight. I can let him introduce himself and the consultant team in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Cal, and thanks, Acting Mayor and Council. As Cal mentioned, my name is Sean Lapointe, Principal with Enriquez Partners Architects. I'm joined here today by our consultant team, including our landscape consultant, Chris Phillips, Principal with PFS Studios, and our transportation consultant, Roxana Sorki with Bunton Associates. And along with our client, we're here to answer any questions that you might have today. Thanks so much for considering our application.
Thank you very much. So council, at this time, it's your opportunity to ask questions of staff or the applicant. And just a reminder, it is the only time to ask questions to the applicant. Councillor Clausen, is that a holdover?
It's a holdover, yeah.
Okay, seeing no one on the queue, I'll do our second call for speakers. If anyone wishes to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now hear from the public. Any registered speakers? We don't have any registered speakers, as I understand it, correct? Do we have any speakers in chambers or in the lobby? Seeing anyone? Do we have anyone on the line?
There is no one on the line.
In that case, I'm going to do our third and final call for speakers. If you wish to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445#. The phone number is posted on X and will be displayed during the recess. We will now take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to come forward or to call in.
Chair, there is no one on the line or in
Thank
chamber.
you. Did we receive a large volume of correspondence since 5 p.m.?
We have not.
Okay, in that case, I am closing receipt of public comments. Does the applicant have any closing comments?
No, we do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Staff, do you have any closing comments?
No, we do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any final questions? Seeing no one on the queue. Sorry, clerks, did we receive any additional public comments since the closure of public comments?
We did not.
Can I get a mover? Move. Second. So moved by Councillor Montague, moved by Councillor Claassen. Any debate? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Please vote online. Clerks, I'll take a vote assist in favor, please. And thank you, Council. That passes unanimously. Okay, that completes item 2. We're going to move straight into item 3, CD1 893 text amendment for 325-343 West 41st Avenue and 5696 Alberta Street. Before we begin, are there any conflicts of interest? No. Clerk will now read the application and summary of correspondence received to date.
This is an application by Canby 41st East Development to amend CD1 district for the site at 325 to 343 West 41st Avenue and 5696 Alberta Street. The proposal is for a 13-story residential building with 131 rental units, of which 10% of the residential floor area will be secured as below-market rental units. A maximum height of 39 meter and an overall density of 6.76 FSR are proposed. The General Manager of Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set on the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referred to public hearing. One piece in support, and this represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you, clerks. Councillor Montague, I see you on the queue.
Yeah, just saying this is a relatively straightforward text amendment and no speakers. I move to waive presentation.
It's been moved. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Claassen. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Council. Thank you, staff. Does the... I'm sorry. It's been a long week. Okay. I did... I need to do the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 106-1445# before the close of the list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We already dispensed with the presentation. Would the applicant like to make a presentation? No. Okay. Thank you for that. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant, noting this is the only time to ask questions of the applicant? Who is here? Okay. Seeing none, I will move our second call for speakers. Anyone wishing to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445#. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now hear from the public. I understand there are no registered speakers tonight. Clerk, do we have any speakers in chamber or on the line?
We do not.
Okay. This is our third and final call for speakers then. If you wish to speak to this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. Council, we will now take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium. Thank you. Okay, council. Clerks, do we have any in chambers or on the line?
None in chamber, none on the line.
With that, the speakers list is now closed. Clerk, has there been a large volume of public comments received since 5 p.m.?
There has not been.
In that case, I am closing receipt of public comments for this item. Does the applicant have any closing comments? Staff, any closing comments?
No closing comments.
Thank you. Council, do you have any final questions for staff? And clerks, did we receive any further public comments since we closed the list?
We did not.
Okay, in that case, council, could someone move the recommendations? Moved? Seconder? Seconded, thank you. Any discussion? Yeah, Councillor Montague, Councillor Meisner. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call the vote. Please vote on screen. And I'll take a vote assist in favor, please. And thank you, council. That passes unanimously. That concludes item 3 on our agenda. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 4 of our agenda, which is CD1 878 text amendment 357475 West 41st Avenue. Before we begin, council, any conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none, the clerk will now read the application and summary of correspondence received. Clerks.
It's an application by Canby 41st East Development to amend CD1 district for the site at 357 to 475 West 41st Avenue. The proposal is for a 17-story and 25-story mixed-use building connecting by a 6-story podium with ground floor commercial space and 497 rental units, of which 20% of the residential floor area will be secured as below market rental. Maximum height of 74 meter for the west tower, 52 meter for the east tower, and an overall density of 7.2 FSR proposed. General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval subject to the conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received and referred to public hearing, one piece in support, and this represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Thank you, clerks. I'm going to do our first call for speakers. Anyone wishing to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445#. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. I see Councillor Montague on the queue.
Thanks, Chair. Again, I see it's a relatively straightforward text amendment with no registered speakers, so I'd move to waive presentation.
Okay, that's been moved by Councillor Montague, seconded by Councillor Meisner. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Council. Would the applicant like to present the application? Okay, thank you. Council, any questions to staff or the applicant, noting this is the only time that you may wish to ask questions to the applicant? Okay, seeing no one in the queue, I'll move our second call for speakers. If anyone wishes to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061445#. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. Normally we'd hear from the public, but there are no registered speakers to this item. Clerk, do we have any speakers on the line?
We do not.
I don't see anyone in chambers. In that case, I'm going to do our third and final call for speakers. Anyone wishing to speak to this item, please call 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445#. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now take a 2-minute recess, council, and wait to see if there's any other speakers. Thank you. I don't see anyone else in chambers. Do we have anyone on the line?
Checking chair. We do not.
Okay, in that case, the speakers list is now closed. Have we had a large volume of public comments received since 5 p.m.?
We have not.
In that case, I'll close receipt of public comments. Does the applicant have any closing comments? Does staff have any closing comments?
I do have closing comments. Thank you, Councillor. So just a reminder for Councillor that this application is accompanied with a yellow memo that notes that the site is eligible for the Rental Development Relief Program and amends the housing agreement to require 20% of the residential floor area to be provided at rates that do not exceed citywide averages.
Thank you very much. Council, any final questions for staff? I see no one on the queue. Staff or clerks, did we have any further public comments received?
We did not.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we're going to move to debate and decision. And as you've heard from staff, we need to move the yellow memo. Can I get someone to move it? Move Councillor Clausen. Second, Councillor Meisner. Debate and decision. Any comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. Please vote on screen. And I'll take a vote assist in favor. And that passes unanimously. Thank you, Council. That concludes item 4 of our agenda. Thank you very much to staff. And can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved. Councillor Montague. Seconded. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Get home safe, please.